Hi everyone, so we are going to be having a mini lesson with me and my student right here. Say hi. So just bear with us as we try to record because it's not necessarily the easiest. Alrighty, so today we're going to be learning about comparing measurements, okay? Now when you think of comparing, do you know what comparing means? No? Okay. So comparing means either finding similarities or differences of two different things. So for example, we can say, let's see, we can compare, what color is this desk?
Brown.
Okay, the desk is brown. What color is this mat?
Black.
So we can say the difference between the desk and the mat is what? The color, right? So we can say the desk is brown, but the mat is black, right? Okay, good job. All right, but today we're not going to be comparing those type of similarities. What we're going to be comparing is things in length. When you compare measurable attributes of an object, it's either going to be weight or length. But today we're going to be doing length. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to introduce you to is a ruler. Okay, so this is what we have right here, our ruler. Now what we're going to be using today is inches. Okay, what the inches are, see these little numbers right here? Here's 0, here's 1, okay, 2, 3, and so on. A ruler is usually 12 inches. This is 1 foot, okay? So the reason why we use a ruler is because when objects are the same size, we're going to need to use a ruler to see which one is larger or longer, right? Or taller. Now, if I stood next to you, okay, let's stand up. So if we stand up, okay, now you can go ahead and stand over here. So you're going to be my volunteer today. Now, this is you, this is me. If we're measuring in length, who's taller?
You.
I'm taller, right? You can see that. That's an automatic given, right? Thank you for being my volunteer. Go ahead and sit down. So automatically you know that the difference in length you can tell, right? You can tell that I'm taller and that you're shorter, right? Alrighty. Now what if we had, for example, I have some items here. If we had 2 markers and I just showed you 2 markers, could you tell me which one's taller or which one's shorter?
That's taller and that's short.
Now what makes you say that? How can you tell? Because they look, if I just put them together really quickly, can you tell?
That one is taller.
If I put them together really quickly, but they're very close in size, right? So if you just looked at it from maybe a far distance, could you be able to tell which one's taller?
I don't know.
Probably not, right? Okay, so that's why we have a ruler. So when we're looking at our ruler, okay, we're going to measure both of these. So we can measure it by putting it all the way to the 0, and we can tell where it's at. Okay, I've gone ahead and marked a little line for you. Do you see how it's right there? That's how long this one is. Now if we measure this one, put it all the way to the 0, where does it go to? About that line right there, right? Now, which one is taller? The one closer to the 6 or the one further from the 6?
Closer.
Yeah, the one that's closer to the 6, so it's almost 6 inches, right? So that's how we're going to be able to tell that this marker is longer than this marker. Okay? Good job. Alrighty. So what we're going to be doing is actually comparing a lot of different objects. Okay? I have lots of objects here. Okay? We'll even compare our gum that we got as a prize today. Okay? So we have some objects and we're going to compare different objects and the sizes of different objects. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you 2 objects and you're going to tell me which object is longer and which object is shorter. Okay? So I'm going to hand you, a scissors and a stapler. Now you're going to tell me which object is longer in length And which object is shorter in length?
This is long and this is shorter.
Okay, can you tell me a complete sentence? What is this? So the what?
The scissors are long and the stapler is shorter.
Good job. Okay. So if we just wanted to compare the two, we're going to say a sentence like this. Okay, I'm going to show you up here on the board. If we just were comparing the two, we would say, so using our sight words, right? The scissors, that's our object, right? Are longer than, another sight word, actually this is. The scissors, I don't know if that's R or is, longer than the stapler. Period. Alrighty. So now that we practice comparing different objects, we're going to get into our activity for the day. Okay? So what our activity is we have a bunch of sight words here that are going to be connected and put together to create a sentence. Okay? Then we have an envelope that says objects on it, which we have a list of different objects. So for example, we have pencils, we have staplers, okay? It has both the picture of it and the word, okay? What we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our sight words to create a sentence comparing two objects, okay? So before I hand you both of these, I'm going to give you some examples of it. We are going to first pull out two different object words from our envelope, okay? So the first object is book, okay? The second object is marker. So we're going to go ahead and lay those down. And now, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a question. Which object is taller, the book or the marker?
Book.
The book is taller, okay? Which object is longer?
Marker.
Is it longer? So let's go ahead and measure a book, which we have right over here. So if this is our book and this is our object, or this is our marker, right?
No, actually, the book is longer.
The book is longer, right? Okay, so which one is shorter? Is the marker or the book shorter?
Marker.
The marker is shorter. Okay, so the way that we're going to create our sentences today is we are going to use the words shorter, taller, and what? What's the last one? Do you remember?
Longer.
Longer. Good job. All right. So we are going to say the marker is something, okay, than, which is our comparison word, right? Than the book. Now, what two words can we use for here? The marker, which is our object, is
Shorter.
shorter. Good job. Okay, than the book, right? Book is also our object word. Now, if I wanted to change a sentence a little bit, I could, okay? The way that I can do it is we can say the book is blank than the marker. What two words can I use there?
Longer.
Longer, correct? Or
Taller.
taller. Do you see how both of these sentences are saying the same thing? Good job. Okay. So in both of these sentences, we are comparing the measurements of length of two objects, right? Okay. So in our activity today, like I said, you're going to receive this. Let me go ahead and put this back into your envelope. You're going to receive this little envelope with lots of different objects, okay? And then you're going to have your sight words, okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to create one at a time, okay? Not all of them. You're going to create 5 different sentences. Let's try for 4 first, but then we'll try for 5, okay? And then we're going to talk about them. Now again, we have a list and we have the objects here in front of us. So if you don't know about the comparisons, we're going to compare them together, okay? With the objects, if you do grab 2 of the same object, just go ahead and put one of them back and grab a different object, okay? Alrighty. So here are your sight words. And here are your objects, okay? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to pull out 2 objects from that envelope. Pencil. Tell me the next object.
Look.
And a book. Okay. So go ahead and put your objects to the side because we're going to be working with these 2. Now, you're going to go through your list of sight words and you're going to create a sentence very similar to either one of these. Okay? Don't lose your pencil. What did we say that word is?
Then.
The comparison word, right? Good job. Alrighty, go ahead and read that to me out loud.
The book is longer than the pencil.
Good job. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put these up here a little bit because remember we're going to create 4 sentences, right? So you're going to do the next 3 on your own. And then I'm going to have you read all of them and then we're going to go over them, okay? So go ahead and pick out 2 more objects from the envelope. And then using your sight words right here, using your sight words, you're going to create a sentence. Over here, and then we're going to create another sentence. So go ahead and grab 2 more objects.
I don't know what's that.
It's a paper clip. So this. Alrighty, go ahead and choose 2 more.
Paper clip again.
Maybe, but maybe you'll get a different comparison.
Look.
All right. So this will be the last sentence. Can we go ahead and use a taller one? Because we already used longer here. Longer, shorter, shorter.
This hollow.
That's than. That's your sight word. Right here. Alrighty, so what you're gonna do for me is you're gonna read all 4 sentences for me, and then we're going to check to see if you are correct, okay? So go ahead and read the sentences for me.
The book is longer than the pencil.
Alright.
The staple is shorter than the chair. The paper clip is shorter than the eraser. The book is taller than the paper clip.
Alright. So looks like everything is correct and the rest of the class agreed, so very nice job on that. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and collect all these, put these all together. We're going to go ahead and clean up a little bit. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay?
Okay.
Just to make sure that you understand everything that was taught today, okay? Now, if I were to say, ask you a question, okay? If I were to ask you, is that chair? So now that we've learned how to measure lengths, and you did an awesome job at that, I have a few questions for you before we leave today, okay? So my first question is, if I were to ask you the question, is this chair in front of you or right next to you, is it taller than the plant that is behind you? What would you say?
The plant is taller.
Okay. Now, if I asked you that question, how could you properly answer that rather than telling me which is taller? So you would say no, the what?
The chair is shorter than the plant.
Yeah, good job. So instead of telling me that the plant is taller, you can tell me no, the chair is actually shorter, not taller than the plant, right? Now my last question is for you is, when we are measuring objects, can we measure them by the color of the object?
No.
No. What about the smell of the object?
No.
No. What about the texture of the object? Can we measure by the texture?
No.
Do you know what the texture is? The feeling. So if we were to feel this, can we measure how this feels?
No.
No, right? What can we measure? What did we talk about today? We can measure, when we're measuring, okay, what did we talk about today? We can measure the
weight.
The weight or the what? Or, so we can measure the weight, of course, we'll be going over that the next lesson, but we can also measure the length of objects, right? That's what we did today. So again, if 2 objects are close in size, what do we use?
Ruler.
A ruler that we lost. A ruler right here, right? So if they're very close in size and you can't tell whether or not one's taller or one's shorter or one's longer, we got to use a ruler. Okay? Alrighty, nice job. We're all through for the lesson. Thank you.